Hi guys, today I'm just gonna record a convert with me video. I'm just gonna convert nice little jeans by AXA, and you can just follow along and see how I do things. I thought this might be fun. Instead of like an entire tutorial, you can now get just like how I do things. I'm not gonna explain too deeply. I might still do an entire tutorial series. I'm not sure yet. But in the meantime, we're just gonna start with this. So I usually make 3 maps. One called original, one called edited, and another one called exported. These are the original files. I put them in here. Let's check them out in Sims 4 package editor. That's what they look like. I mean, that's the original thumbnail. Now I'm just gonna look for a preset that is useful for my multiplier. Usually what you want is like a gray one like this, or maybe like this. I think I'm gonna go with this one. That's gonna be closer to the color I want. I'm gonna go back and I'll choose right here, and I'm gonna call it multi. That's what I call it. And then I'm gonna close it up and open the graphic one to get some nice overlays for later. Look like this one has like graffiti on it. I kind of like that, so I'm just gonna go back and select the original map again. I'm gonna make another folder in here and just call it overlay. And what I usually do is I just call them like 1, 2, 3, etc. I'm probably gonna do all of the colors. I might not all show them in this video, but I might skip it eventually, but you'll see that it's basically the same thing over and over. So as you can see here, like the graffiti pants have like a lot of different just jeans colors. So I'm just all gonna save them, and over here we have some butterflies, also really pretty. It's 40 total presets, that's a lot. I'm definitely gonna have to go through these and kind of choose which one I want, because that's a lot of things. Okay, so now I'll go to S4 cast tools and I'm gonna get the mesh, OBJ select. I'm gonna go just with basic ones. I'm not gonna update. Yeah, okay. Export. There we go. Alright. Oh, that's wrong. Let's go to Blender and import our file. First I prepare my workspace. I close this shit up and I import my pants. There we go. Alright, so let's look at this. Kind of baggy. I do like that, actually. This is annoying as fuck. Can I move it? Okay, so that's better. So first of all, I'm gonna go to my shader editor. I'm gonna press new and then Shift A, and that brings up this box. I go to texture and then I go to image texture. I open, and then I go and grab the multiplier that I saved, and then I go to this like little box up here, I select texture, and then you have your texture already. But I also untick specular lighting because then it gets rid of the weird shininess. So the pants are now visible. We go to UV editor, the original multi, I can look at it now. I'll go to edit mode and check it out. Alright, so right here I have like an overview of my UV map. It's kind of good, this mesh, so I at least don't have to get rid of any TS4 body parts, so I can just go ahead and import the AF body. So as you can see, it really clips through in a lot of places, but we're gonna fix that in a minute. First I'm gonna save this already so I don't lose anything in case it crashes or something. I'm gonna call this F Blender. There we go. So let's close this all the way up. I don't really need it right now. I am gonna import the feet just in case to look if they don't clip through or something. Let's go and get some feet. Oh yeah, that's not a problem. Look, that's fine. So I'm just gonna go to sculpt mode now, and it kind of changes the lighting. It makes it more blocky and ugly, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go to grab. I'm gonna increase the radius around like 100, maybe 120 or something, and I'm just gonna start where I see the most obvious clippings. So right here, for example, the knees are a little bit weird in this mesh, but I mean, I guess that's what the original creator intended, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. So basically what you do here is just you grab the places that have the most clipping issues, like right here on the hips, of course, and you just sort of works like, I guess if you get some Play-Doh or some slime or something, you just grab it and drag it. So it goes pretty easily. This part is actually kind of satisfying to me, just to get the mesh to fit in all the body places. Usually there is some clipping in the crotch, of course, so we're gonna fix that as well. I may have to make my radius a little bit smaller so I can really focus on the areas that are clipping in this one. Maybe just make it bigger, a lot bigger, and yeah, that's better. Okay. This part is really not, I mean, I can't really grab like the part that's struggling with. So like this, and that looks kind of bad. Okay, I'll get back to that later. Doesn't really matter. Everything eventually works out. You just have to be very patient with it. That's also one of the things I like about it, but sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating, I guess. Oh my god. This is being so annoying, but okay. Just do these parts first. Well, as you can see in the front, it's actually a little bit too far to the front, so I'm actually gonna have to take it in a little bit so it doesn't like jut out as much. otherwise it's gonna clip with a lot of tops in game and it's not gonna look as good. So I'm just gonna sort of, there we go. Look at it from all angles, of course, because sometimes I'm always working from one angle and when I then turn around it looks super bad. So it kind of has to look good from all angles. You see what I mean? Like the hemline is already a little bit messed up, so I'm gonna try and fix that now so it doesn't look messy. Yeah, that looks fine. Alright, so now for the entire butt area, because that's all clipping through. Maybe just put the radius a little bit higher, because I think we can get away with it in this area. So here we go. You just keep doing this until nothing is peeking through anymore. You could import like a skin or something to give the body a texture. I never really do that. Usually it's fine like this. I can see which parts are clipping and which ones are not, so it doesn't really matter. But if you prefer to import a texture for the body, you can always do that. I just don't. There we go. The ass is uneven, so I guess some people have an uneven ass in real life, I guess, but we're gonna try to fix that so our Sims aren't walking around with weird asses in games. It's always kind of weird to look at it. If I look at it for too long, I always just end up thinking that it looks bad, you know? Like at a certain point I just have to stop and like look away for a couple minutes, because otherwise it's always gonna look bad in my eyes. That's, I guess, sort of a shitty part of being a perfectionist, I guess. Because I am definitely a perfectionist. Let's go and check if... Okay, it's fine for the butt area. I don't like it when pants give the butt like a lot more volume. I mean, it can be a little bit, you know, some pants have like a lifting effect, I guess, but these ones look fine. Let's go back in and check the edges. One of the important parts when doing especially pants is like the edges. You should try to bring them in as close as possible, but you should definitely have like a little room left over. If you bring them in too close, you're gonna get issues with your morphs later on. It's just easier to just give them a little bit more room than I would do myself, you know, because then later on you get less issues with your morphs. And the less issues with morphs, the less time I have to spend in milkshape, and that's always a good thing. Can you tell how much I hate milkshape, by the way? It's not that I hate it per se, it's just Blender is so much easier. Oh yeah, I still have to fix the crotch. That's gonna be, yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted. Much better. There we go. All right, that looks good. So now I'm gonna bake the body so we can have a reference for when we are making our multiplier. So how I do this is I go back to shader editor, I go back to image texture, I click new, and I make sure that it's a square mesh 1024 by 1024 pixels. I click OK, it's black on its own, so when I go back to UV editor, I go up here and I select the image we just generated, and I just go like this, so now it's ready and I can see that the bake is gonna be there in a couple seconds. So to get to baking, I have like a pretty new version of Blender, I think. So when I was following the tutorial, I couldn't find it at first because mine was like a little bit hidden. So first you go like to this little camera icon, I think, and then in render engine you choose cycles, and then down here you're gonna see the bake option. It's kind of hidden for this version of Blender. I choose ambient occlusion and I put it to 2 pixels and I press bake. Just make sure that the body is selected, and this is set to visible. So you see, this just appeared because my body finished baking, and you can see that this is where the pans end. So this is where the body is dark because there is a mesh over it. I go to image and I save it. Chloe Jeans edited, sure. I just call it bake. Save. I'm gonna save the Blender file as well, and I'm gonna close this for the time being. Then I'm gonna open Photoshop, and in the meantime I'm gonna go to my references. So I'm gonna import these 2 files. First of all, this one, it's like to see where the top, the bottom and the shoes of meshes can go, and they can't go in the other areas. So after that I do this one. It's the reference to see where the body goes. And then I'm gonna go to my bake that I just made, and I'm also gonna import that. You see what I just did here? So when I'm in my folder and I drag it to my Photoshop, just make sure that you drag it and you drop it outside of your working area. So that means like in a dark gray area right here, not like inside of your picture, because that makes it so that it just ends up perfectly centered over your image. So now it's still like in editing mode. I just click yes, and what I do is I change the view. I put it in to lighten. So as you can see now, in the dark areas are all like see-through, so I can see where I can put my mesh, which is in the see-through areas, and where I can't, which is all over where the body is white, because that's going to be visible in game if you put your mesh, if you put your multiplier over there. What I also usually do is I take these 3 layers and I make them into a group. It's my first group. It's usually like my reference group, so I can just click it and make it all go invisible at once. So now I go back, I get that original multi again, and I open it in game. Once again, did you see what I did there? I took my original multiplier, I dragged it, but I didn't drag it over here. I didn't drag it like at once into this file. I dragged it to this little like thing over here so that it opens in another file for now. I unlock it. As you can see, the background is all green. I'm gonna get rid of that with the magic wand. What I usually do is just tolerance 5, doesn't really matter. Contiguous, I uncheck that, so make sure it's unchecked, because some meshes have like green areas that are not connected to other areas of green, so usually I just get rid of all of it in one go. What I also immediately like to do is I get rid of like the bands of white or black. Kind of depends on the mesh, I guess, or the multiplier in this case. I don't know what this is doing, but I'm definitely gonna go check in Blender in a minute to see how that is connected to the mesh or something. Let's go see. Into edits. Oh, you see, like over here it isn't even visible, so I'm just gonna go and get my marquee tool. I'm just gonna go and select this and just delete it. We don't need it. We only need this area, and that's gonna be like the inside of our pants probably. Yeah, you see? That's also like, yeah, it's just the inside, so you don't really see it, but we are gonna keep it because we have room for it, so we're just gonna go ahead and I am gonna just slightly scale it up maybe. I have the room for it, so I'm gonna do it. No, that's too big. Something like this, yeah, sure. Okay, so as you can see, like this multiplier is kind of noisy, so what I sometimes like to do if the multiplier looks a little bit messy, first of all, I also don't like it, even if like no one sees it, I don't like it when there's like messy areas that aren't getting used, so I usually just take my eraser and get rid of it. So I'm gonna go ahead with this layer selected and go to noise, reduce noise, and we're gonna try and get this a little bit cleaner. So you see that there's already a difference with the settings that are selected right now, but I'm gonna see if I can get it better, because definitely this area still needs a lot of work. Let's see. Preserve details can go down. Yeah, that's better. Maybe like a 5. I'm even gonna go ahead and just say 0, because perhaps not, because like the dark areas, like these lines also have to stay, of course, so you can't get rid of too much. Maybe like a 2. Just like so we have something, you know. Strength, let's see if we can crank that up. What if I put it on? Yeah, no, that's too much, I think. I'm not sure actually. Reduce color noise, we don't need that. Sharpen details, can we do oh, what is that? Oh no, that looks terrible. Okay, so you see, like if you go into this reduce noise filter, you can really play around with it until you get it to look semi-decent. I don't know why, but when you export the DDS files from the original TS4 file, it usually ends up with a lot of pixelation, and the multipliers can sometimes just be a lot of work to get to look decent again. The strength is gonna go down a little bit. Just a 5 maybe. I still don't like it because you can see like the difference. Like over here it's smooth and in the butt it still looks terrible. So stronger, I guess. 8, sure. I think we're gonna go with this. It's good enough for me. Okay, so now we've done that, I'm gonna go and get some adjustments for this. First of all, because I can still see that there's some like blue in the button over here, I'm gonna select black and white, and I'm gonna press Alt and make, if you go like to the edge in between these two layers, you can make it so that it's only applied to this layer over here. That I usually do that so my references don't go all black and white either. So that's only this one that's black and white now. Doesn't make super like a lot of difference, but why is it blue not going away? Oh wait, oh, that's so stupid of me. Yeah, sometimes that happens because I still had contiguous. Yeah, that's so dumb. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back a couple steps, and now it's, yeah, so this is no longer gone now. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just get it back in here. Just go ahead and kind of put it at the same scale, sort of, good enough. I'm gonna get rid of this one. I'm gonna put this over it. I'm gonna make it visible. I'm gonna press Alt, get it to go there again. I'm gonna go make it invisible. My god. You can see like sometimes it just gets like a little finicky, I guess. Get rid of this again. There we go. I'm gonna go to the denoise filter again. Just, there we go. Alright, better. Can I just want to get rid of this part. Yeah, it's better. And like this over here. Yeah, better. Alright. What I want to do now is, what I usually do is I just go to rectangle tool. I put the fill to like 50% black. So like this. Okay, and then I usually just draw a rectangle over one of the lightest parts of the mesh. So like right over here, where there's like a highlight for the front of the leg, I draw a little rectangle to see if the gray of my mesh has to go darker or lighter. So in this case, I'm just gonna go back to my layer right here, and what I always select is exposure. I used to go with brightness and contrast, but I recently noticed that it sometimes makes it so that the colors start clipping with each other, and that's not a good look. So I'm gonna go with exposure now. I do drag it so it gets put on top of the black and white filter. It's sometimes just a preference of mine. And now I just make sure that it sort of blends in perfectly. So in this case, I think we actually have to go like a little bit lighter. So maybe like this, you know, because this way the little rectangle we made is like nearly invisible, you know? If you're not looking for it, you don't see it. So that means that the multiplier is perfectly in the 50% gray black area, and that's what we want when we're making a TS3 multiplier. Once we've done that, I'm gonna remove the rectangle. We don't need it anymore. And then I'm gonna go and see if I can maybe separately make this area darker, because right now the rest of our mesh is all like perfectly 50% black, you know, but the button, because it's like kind of white, we kind of have to edit it separately and try to select it so we can make that area darker. So right now I'm gonna see if I can do this with the quick selection tool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You sort of click and drag in the areas that I want to darken up a little bit. Yeah, we'll have to see if this works or not, but so I'm gonna do a separate exposure layer for this. This can go in the middle, I guess, and see if we can get it like in a nice little matching with the rest of the mesh. Sort of like here, maybe? Something like this, yeah, that's fine. So now we have an entirely gray mesh. This is going to be our multiplier. This can go ahead and close it. I'm going to go ahead and save this one already. So I'm going to go back to the Chloe Jeans, edit it, call this multi. I usually first save just like the PSD itself, just so I can go back to it later if there's something wrong with it. So now I've got the PSD, and then I'm gonna go ahead and save as, export it, and then I just choose DDS, and I just call it multi again. Transparency, there we go. So this part is done. So what I usually do is, this is the multiplier with all of my adjustments added to it. I put that in a map as well. So that's my second group, the reference group right here, and my multiplier group. So now I make my mask. Usually what I do is, the biggest part of the mesh is just, in this case, the pants itself and like maybe the button. So it's probably only gonna be 2 channels this time. I go to new fill layer, solid color, just okay, and down here it usually is ready for you to type something. This, because it looks red, it looks fine right now, but it has to be FF0000. This is the red we want. So we go back, and now I put it to invisible for a second here. Now I've already been working on this button just now, you know? So the smart part to do here is, when you, this is the exposure we did to it to make it go darker, you know? So the mask we have here is what we're gonna need for our second channel. So if you press Control and then click it, it selects the mask we just made. So I don't have to do it all over again. That's a little tip for me. So now I'm gonna go back to layer, fill layer, and this time we have to go all yellow, and that's FFF000, all yellow. So this is what we have now. It's just red, and like the button is separate. If you can see, like right here, it's like not all the way yellow. I think I'm gonna edit that because it's probably gonna annoy me once I get in game. Just a little bit around the edges to make it sharper. Yeah, that looks fine. All right. So, oh, did I close it? Oh, there we go. Photoshop. The 2 color fills can get their own group. That's the mask group. And I'm gonna save it as my mask. Also a DDS image. Mask. Enter. Transparency, sure. usually I put it to invisible, and I'm gonna save this again, so my PSD file now has all of the parts that I need to use later. Of course, once we get that far, we can also go and get our overlays and just choose the ones we want. I'll show you just one of them, but if you're doing your own conversion and you want more of them, you basically have to repeat the same process over and over again. So I'll quickly show you what I mean. So I do definitely want this one, you know. So I open it. I go to magic wand, get rid of the green. I don't know if it's going to be the same for you guys, but in my case, every time I import a DDS, it has a green background. I don't know why, but in this case I'm just gonna go ahead and gonna transform it. You see what I did? I got my layer selected and I pressed Ctrl and T at the same time, and that goes to free transform. I sort of go to where I think it's gonna be a perfect match, but if I want to be sure, I usually just do this sort of thing with the opacity to see if my overlay is perfectly matched or not. So I think I have to go a little bit to the left maybe. So the areas I look at to see if it matches is always going to be like the belt loops, maybe like the stripes in the pants, definitely like this dark area, for example. Maybe I have to go a little bit down. Yeah, I think, if you look like at the belt loops up here, that's what I always do. Like I always go like this very quickly, so you can see that it's moving up there, and I always want it to be matched as perfectly as possible. It's just one of my quirks, I guess. So that means I have to maybe put it maybe a little bit bigger. Oh yeah, there we go. You see what I mean? This is perfectly matched. So enter, and then we get out of the transform box. I'm gonna get rid of this one again because I don't like looking at that. What you are gonna notice is definitely with the overlays, you're gonna have a lot more pixelation, a lot more problems with it. So I can try and maybe fix that or make it better at least, but it might get rid of the details in the mesh, and we don't want that. So in this case I think we might actually get away with it. I was scared that like the little like graffiti writings, that they might get lost if I did this, and they do a little bit I guess, but not like bad enough that I don't want to do this, because like a lot of the pixelation and the ugliness on the butt is fixed with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just press OK. I might even make this a little bit lighter, because usually this sort of overlay that's dark like this is very, very dark in game. So I might make it a little bit lighter. 1.50? That might be interesting. I do gotta make sure that, because this is like really, really white now. That's a little bit too white. Just a little bit, like that. Yeah, that looks fine. So this is the way I do my overlays. I'm not gonna show you all of them, but basically if I want more than just this preset in game later on, I'm gonna have to pick and choose all of the presets I want and do the same thing over and over again. And usually what I do is once I'm done with one of my presets, I select the thing I just made and I put it back into a group. Once I'm done with it, I just put it to invisible so that only my multiplier is visible. And then I would continue with like the next graffiti overlay. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, but it can get very, very tedious, especially if you have a lot of presets. So keep that in mind. It can get so boring, but it is worth it if you want to take the time to do it. I think we're done here for now, so I'm gonna just close this and go back to Blender, because now it's time to make our new UV map. I go to shader editor and I open image. I go to export it and I press my multiplier that I just saved. I go back and it's still on the right settings. It's just all gone now because when we go to UV editor and we choose our new multiplier, you'll see this is our mesh and this is where it has to go, so it's no longer matching. So we're gonna fix that, of course. First of all, because we went from an HQ mesh to the TS4 mesh is pretty HQ. It's I think it's 2049 because it was like taller than this. Because we went from that to this, the mesh got all squished together, so we're first gonna unsquish it. So S and then Y, because we want to do it in the height and not in the width, and then we press 2 and that does it on its own. And then we're going to move it so it matches with our new multiplier. So you press G and I sort of put it right in the middle, somewhere along here maybe, and we're gonna have to put it a little bit bigger because I did scale it up a little bit. Maybe G and Y together, so you can you only move the mesh upwards. You can't move it sideways now, only upwards or downwards. So maybe like this. So we go to object mode and I'm quickly gonna see if everything looks okay in my 3D window. I think it looks fine. Yeah, I kind of want to edit this more, but okay, I'll maybe do that later. Let's see, edit. I think I want to G and then X. That's go side to side. I think it has to go more in this direction. Yeah, that makes more sense. Usually with pants it's pretty easy, you know. This is like the midline in the middle of the pants, and if you look underneath you can sort of coordinate it with where like the seam of the pants are. So you can base the position of your UV map on the position of the seams on the pants, which is another little tip for you, I guess. Seam looks kind of weird. I may go back and fix that. I don't really like that, but okay. I think we're done here. So I may just quickly go back and just put it a little bit smaller and just go like that. I don't know, it's kind of annoying me. Yeah, alright. Like I said, I probably just have to stop staring at it because now I see imperfections everywhere. I save it quickly and what I usually just do is I unclick the little eye for the feet and the body in this case, so that only my pants are visible. I'm gonna save it once again. Then I go to File, Export, OBJ, and I go and I put that in my exported map. And in this case, I just always call it fblender export. Exports. There we go. Yeah, sure, save that. Okay, so next up we go to Milkshape, my favorite part. So we open up Milkshape and import wavefront objects. Go to by creator. Export it. Blender export. There we go. Okay, here's our pants. We go to groups, the group tab over here. You select it. And then go to tools. I click model cleaner. I don't want to separate the verbs, so you click no. Usually it tells you a couple vertex pairs were welded and like a material was cloned, or sometimes it only clones the material and nothing else. It doesn't really matter, it just cleans up the mesh for you, I think. Then the vertex, I choose cat's normal smoother and I unselect my mesh and just check it out from all angles. We got lucky this time. There are no black spots that we have to fix, so yay for me. And then I'm just gonna go import TSRW object. We go to references. I'm gonna go with bottom and I delete all of these groups. I only need the base group. Let's check it out. I'm pretty sure that we're only gonna need like the upper like topmost like sliver of the belly. You know what I mean? Like only this part right here, because everything else is covered up. So if you can see, like we don't even see any like ankle or leg or something, because that's part of the feet mesh and that's separate. So it's kind of easy. All you have to do is I'm first gonna select and I'm gonna hide my pants. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. I select all of this. We don't need it. It's not gonna be visible anyway. Move, and then yeah, if you go to move, by the way, and then you hold shift and you click and drag, that zooms in your like windows. That's also like something that took me a while to figure out, because moving around in Milkshape is sort of difficult. So I'm just gonna go and delete everything except for that upper part of the bottom mesh. So you see, like this is literally the only part you see. It's like a super tiny sliver of the belly and that's it. So that's the only thing we need. Alright. First I'm gonna save. I'm gonna go back. Chloe, edit it. I'm gonna call it F milk shape. Like that. And then I select my pants. I select the naked bottom. I save before I go ahead, because what I do is now I click regroup. I go ahead and call this group base and click rename, and then I just click in the 3D window. You see it kind of goes a little bit more gray. That's just to make sure for myself visually that it happened. Exports, TSRW object, export it, and I call this F milk shape export. Save. So usually what I do before I exit this is I go Control Z Z. So I go back to having two groups, and now I save. That's just in case if I did something wrong at this point. Usually I don't want to have to go back and redo all of the removing of the body parts, and all of that is sometimes a really stupid thing to have to go back to. So this can make it a little bit easier, that you can just open up your milkshape file and still have two groups instead of one. So I close this and I go to Mesh Toolkit. So we're gonna assign some bones. First I'll choose my reference. We'll go and see which one works for us. I might first check my own references. Maybe the flare genes, because these are pretty flared, so that might work. Open, and then the mesh to modify. I'm gonna choose the mesh I just exported, so this one, milkshape exports. So do assignments and save. F bones, and I usually just put a 1 behind that. So save. This can go minimized, and at this stage I usually open TS4 and check out all of my bones and see if they are messy or not. Just wait for that to open. Create a new project. Clothing, human, young adults, female, everyday, I guess. This usually just takes a while to load. Just give it time, because if you start clicking around, you'll usually notice that TSR likes to crash. So just don't move. Give it some time and should be fine. I can see it's loading right here, so that's a good sign. Okay, yeah, there we are. Okay, so I'm gonna choose a bottom. Here are the bottoms. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. I just usually like to pick one that's sort of similar to the mesh I'm importing. So just go next, next, and okay. So this is our beautiful model over here. First I'm gonna change the top, because I like to see as much of the mesh that I possibly can, so the best top for that usually is like this one. That's the highest one, like the biggest part of the belly is still visible with this. So high level of detail. I'm gonna import the pants, exported bones. You don't want to optimize the vertex data, but you do want to update the bounding box. Import complete. There we go. Alright. So it's still got the old yucky EA mesh. I like the texture, I mean. The overlay, we're gonna make it empty because the EA mesh had some like belt loops and stuff. Make empty, done. Mask, imports, yeah, this is the mask we made. There we go. Multiplier, imports, multi, yep, there we go. And then down, clothing specular. Jesus Christ, that's so ugly, oh my god. Converting just a black specular. Done. So, this is already looking pretty good. Very nice. I can still see some shininess. Like if you look over here, you can still see the old button, and that's because you have to go into material over here and change all of the stuff that's in here as well. So the alpha map, because I already imported my multiplier, I'm just gonna go browse instead of import. That is just to keep the file size small. You really want to make sure that you just keep it small, as small as possible. The diffuse map, you don't actually have to go ahead and browse and import the multiplier as well here. It does it automatically. So if you do the alpha map, the diffuse map you can just leave as is, and once I click done and I go back, you see that these are the same now, so you don't have to do both. I go to normal map. I do still have to import a normal map. These are just like 50% gray or something. I never really do normal maps or specular maps because I don't like them on clothes usually. Yeah, so we need a specular. Done. So now like the weird shiny button is gone. That's good. So we have 2 channels, so we're gonna have to select true for pattern B. Let's quickly change the color so we can see that it's changed. Yeah, so we got 2 channels now. First I'm gonna save this because TSR Workshop really loves to crash. So everything you do, every step you take, you definitely want to be saving in between each step, because if you don't, you're gonna regret it. So now I'm gonna go to tools and load an animation to see if my bones are okay. Extinguish, that's the one you want, and if I click JavaScript name, the one I want is always at the top, so that's easier. Close. Okay, so this is a classic problem with CC converting. Definitely always the inner thighs you want to look out for. So as you can see, this one, like a little bump over here, there's a little bump over there. Oh, down here as well, big ones as well. The rest is fine. So what you're gonna do is open Milkshape again and import the bones you just made. So the F bones one, this one, yeah. You're gonna import that. The tools, I select this one. And then you're just gonna have to go as close in as you can. If you select draw vertices with bone colors, you see that it lights up with all of these different colors, but we don't really need that right now. I'm just gonna press Alt in the 3D view and select one of these vertices and press show. Well, this one isn't a problem, as we can see. So usually the problem with like these weird spikes is that the bones have been incorrectly sorted with the other leg. So like maybe this vert over here, I'll show you. This is the right leg, so this vertex is correct. Maybe this one, nope. This one, yeah. So here's the problem. That's why this is super spiky. You have to go ahead and the L calf and L calf compress. This is the L, this is the left one. So you really don't want anything on this leg to be connected with the left bones. So I just manually put it to 0, both of them, and it kind of updates both of these upper ones, so it still makes 100 in total, so the weights, you know what I mean? And then I press assign. So because we know it's the same on the other side, I'm gonna immediately check, show. So yeah, exactly the same problem right here. This is the left leg, we don't want anything of the right leg. 0, 0, and assign. Alright. So I think we're done. Now what you do is you should probably go ahead and export this as a TSRW object, and I usually just make it that this is bones 2 so that I know that this is a new version. I'm gonna go and import the second version. There we go. Let's see. Do we still have anything? Well, at least right here we don't have anything anymore. That's actually perfect. Really nice. I mean, in the thighs maybe, but nothing too bad. I mean, I think it's actually fine. Yeah. Alright. So now we know that bones are fine. I'm gonna go ahead and I usually don't even save this as anything. I just close it. So we have the bones, and next part is the morphs. So auto create morphs. We first go and select a reference. The WSO export reference mesh is usually what I pick for this. So adult female full body, and then the pants go with bones 2, morphs. Okay, so F morphs 1. Auto create morphs. We can close mesh toolkit. I'm not gonna need it anymore. First I'm gonna go and import the morphs and see if it looks fine. Okay, so thin looks fine. There's nothing obviously wrong with it. Fat, yeah, so fat usually is the most problematic of them all, and that's not a political statement, trust me. That's just a fact with this. This is all like clipping, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back into Milkshape and import TSRW F morphs. Hide, thin hide, and base needs to be hidden as well, so that we only have the fat morph. Alright, so you can immediately see, oh, I don't want a French keyboard, fuck off. So you can already see that this is where it's clipping, so that's this part right here. I'm gonna go ahead and select. Probably first I'm gonna do this vertex right here. I'm gonna go and put it a little bit to the front. You see that I got rid of a lot of it already. Yeah, maybe something like that. Maybe like, yeah, that's fine. Then we select this one, and it's also gonna be a little bit to the front. Yeah, so we have a little bit more room. There we go. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't matter if they're invisible or not. You can just go to export now, TSRW, F morphs. I do morphs 2. Import morphs 2. Let's see if this fixes everything. Oh, no it didn't. Look at that. We still have to do more fixing. Oh my god, a lot more fixing. Before I do that, I first want to see if the fit morph is fixed now. Ah yeah, it's probably when you combine the fat and the fit morphs. You see? Like, if they're combined it messes up, but if they're not combined it looks fine. Look, that's just so stupid. So I don't know which one really is a problem. Like, is it the fat morph or is it the fit morph? I don't know. Let's check. Where was that? Somewhere around, like, here? This one maybe? Or this one? Maybe if I just move this one a little bit forward, that should fix it, I think. Yeah, I think so. It's okay. Well, this one is in the back, probably right here, right? Maybe this one and this one? I'm not sure. Let's just move it like a tiny bit back. Like one. Okay, that's kind of weird, so I'm gonna select this one to kind of smooth it out. Yeah, that's better. Alright, much better. Let's see if this fixed it. We go ahead. This time I just replace this, I don't care. Import. Oh, we still have a little bit here. Okay, this one is fixed, so that's good. Okay, so probably gonna be this one to, yeah, maybe something like this. This can get super tedious as well, as you can see. It just moving vertices around a little bit and then checking in TSRW if it fixed it. Go ahead. Yeah, it's still a little tiny bit, but I'm not gonna even bother fixing that at this point. It's fine. There's like yelling outside. It's just my luck, you know? Just when I make a video, there's people yelling in the street. I live really calm, you know? We live in like a street where no one really comes. And now there's yelling outside and people working and everyone just making sure that they're being heard, you know? Okay, so I think we're done. I mean, it's always a little bit shitty that in the fat morphs, especially the multiplier and like sometimes even the mesh for buttons and like the like seams from things, they get really stretched, and there isn't anything I can do about that, sadly. So it's just something I have to live with. So now I'm just gonna go to project and gonna make sure I select the proper categories. So everyday, sure. Formal wear, it's not really formal, so I'm not gonna do that. Athletic, no. Career, sure, yeah. I always click makeover just because if you do like the ambitions like stylist career, you can use these pants when you're making them over, you know. I am gonna check, yeah, outerwear, sure. Maternity, that's good because I did make those. Valid for random, I'm gonna unclick that. Okay, so I always unclick valid for random, by the way. I don't like it that random NPCs show up with CC. I just think that usually it can mess up your game. I don't know. If there's too much CC in your game, I don't like that. So this part is done. I mean, I kind of like this swatch, not gonna lie. It's like dark blue jeans. It's not that bad actually. So I'm just gonna darken up like maybe 100. Like a gray button, it's fine. I am gonna have to delete the other things though, because we don't want these. Delete and delete. So now I have one recolorable preset, because this is the one that's recolorable. If I go ahead and duplicate this now, I can... oh wait, I think I forgot to save the overlay I showed you guys. So I have to go back and save that first. So that's my bad, sorry. In Photoshop, you know I did this one, huh? I'll show you how you do it in TS4. I just go to save as, I export it, and I make it into a DDS. I make it, this is number 1, so just do that with transparency. We're gonna save it, sure. This is our second preset, and usually what I do is I just go to overlay and I import what I just saved. So done. You see, this one, this is what it looks like when it's on the model in TS4. What you do want to do here though is your patterns aren't gonna work, so I just always put them to false, both of them to false. This is an unrecolorable overlay that's only gonna work with these colors, so you don't need to have these enabled anymore. So right now I have 2 presets. I'm gonna go behind the scenes and probably do like a couple more just for more variety, and because I always do like the other presets, but that's literally the last step of this. But I'll first show you like the last important step, and then the last remaining step is gonna be to export your file to Sims 3 pack. That's literally the last thing, and then you're done. So I already pretty much showed you everything you need to know in this video. High level of detail, I think I already did this. Yeah. So I'm gonna go to medium level. I'm gonna go import my morphs. Yeah, import completed. Material, and right here you do have to change it for every level of detail. So yeah, we don't want this one, we need this one, and there we go. So medium level, and then we go to low level, import fmorphs, sure, there we go. And then we also have to edit the materials again. Multiplier, the normal map, and the specular map. There we go. Okay, so basically that's it. As for all of your textures and all of your presets, that just goes on in here. I pretty much showed you already what to do. The only thing I am gonna do behind the scenes is I'm gonna add a bunch more presets in Photoshop first. I'm gonna save those as a DDS, and of course I am gonna try to make them as less noisy, because there is a lot of pixelation on them originally. And basically that's it. So I'm gonna save this, I'm gonna close it up real quick, and the pants are probably gonna be released on my profile pretty soon anyway. You'll see them when I release them, I guess. So for now I'm gonna go ahead and log off. I love you all, guys, and I hope you learned something from my rambling. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.